Hello over there and welcome back again to lesson 5 for module 1. And in our previous lesson we looked at the client server communication module. In this particular lesson we want to advance further and look at the protocols and HTTP and HTTPS protocols. So what are protocols? Protocols are rules for communicating over the internet. So on the internet there are different services. There are so many services that we use on the internet. Some of them include the email service, the chat service, and a lot of other services that we use on the internet. So for each of the service we use on the internet, there is a specific protocol or rules that we use in order to communicate or in order to use that service. So that you could say that there are so many protocols that are used on the internet. But the one I want us to look in this particular lesson, which is related to our full stack development course, is the HTTP and HTTPS protocol. So I want you to go and do a research on your own and find out the other protocols that are used on the internet and what are their uses or applications. So we look at the HTTP. The HTTP and HTTPS protocols are the main protocols that are used by the World Wide Web service. So on the web we use these two particular protocols which are important. These protocols are the rules that define how the client and the server communicate to each other over the internet. Remember we said the client server communication. So the rule that is defining this client server communication model is the HTTP or the HTTPS protocols. And the main purpose of these protocols is to transfer data. And this data could be a HTML page, it could be some CSS code, it could be some JavaScript code, it could be some images, it could be some videos or text. So to transfer this data between the client and the server in form of a request and a response. So the HTTP, when you're using the HTTP protocol, you need to note that the data is sent without encryption. So the data is sent in a plain text, and that's risky because it could be intercepted by the hackers on the internet, and that could be a breach of data. So by default, the HTTP protocol uses the port 8080 by default, the port 80. So we will see what we mean by the word port in the upcoming lesson. The HTTPS protocol, when you're using the HTTPS protocol, the data is being encrypted, and this protocol by default it uses port 443 by default. HTTPS, the S you're seeing here stands for secure data. So when you are using your public, you are deploying your application to the public for public consumption, then you need to make sure that you configure this protocol so that your web application should use HTTPS. So the requests and the response between the client and the server are sent using this protocol. So later in our upcoming classes, when we start coding, we will look on how we can implement encryption of that data in our applications. So this is all about this particular lesson, and in the next lesson we look at the next concept about the request and the server in the client server communication model. Otherwise, thank you for joining this lesson and see you in the next lesson.